I love hosting and having dinner parties, so this week I had a friend over for an apple-themed dinner party, and I made apple ravioli with a butternut squash filling, apple brie and fig crostinis, a fall apple salad, skillet apple cider chicken, apple ginger fizz mocktails, apple cider donuts, and a caramel apple crisp for dessert. I got started making my red and green pasta dough for my apple design, and then I cut up the butternut squash and roasted that with some garlic cloves and olive oil. I then blended up the butternut squash, added in some Parmesan, some salt and pepper, and gave that a mix. And then I thinned out my pasta dough and piped on the filling, and I used an apple cookie cutter to cut out the apple ravioli. I cut out some leaves and attached those on. I then started prepping our apple brie and fig crostinis. I drizzled a little bit of honey on top, and these are one of my favorite fall appetizers. And then I made our apple ginger fizz mocktails with some apple cider. I then started working on a honey balsamic vinaigrette for the arugula fall salad. I seasoned the chicken thighs and gave them a quick sear, and then started sauteing some apples with shallots and brown sugar. I added the chicken back in and then dressed the salad and topped it with some apples, candied pecans, pomegranates, and goat cheese. I cooked the ravioli and then tossed it in some brown butter, and here's the final product for our dinner. And then earlier in the day, I started working on our desserts. I started off by making the batter for the apple cider donuts. I piped the filling into my mini donut pan, baked those, brushed them with some butter, and then tossed them in a cinnamon sugar. And then I started making a homemade caramel for the caramel apple crisp. Homemade caramel is just so good. And then I peeled some apples, chopped them up, and tossed them in some lemon juice so they don't brown, and then added a bunch of spices, mixed that up, and then added some caramel to the apples, added that to a skillet, and started working on a little oat crumble. I then added the crumble on top of the caramel apples and baked it in the oven. And then I topped it with some more homemade caramel and some ice cream. And here's the final product for our desserts.